Oh, guys, this is a really depressing moment in my life as I come to the conclusion of Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius. Yeah, it's been three really fun videos breaking down each season of Jimmy Neutron, and this one was the hardest to watch. I couldn't decide if it were a horror, a comedy. Like, Jimmy Neutron went completely off the rails this season in a way that I can't describe, except for the fact I'm about to spend 2 hours doing so. Now, not only do we have returning villains, a Jimmy and Cindy love triangle, and even a few specials along the way, but this is a pretty well-crafted final season. Before we get into it, I'm just gonna note how confusing the episode titling is. Wikipedia has something different, IMDb has something different. Nobody seems to have the consensus on the actual episode order, and I don't know. I'm just gonna do the production codes from the Jimmy Neutron fandom page and the DVD. But I want you guys to think about the finale before we see this whole season. Now, we will leave Jimmy Neutron with a full attack from all the villains from the past. See if Jimmy can take them on. Along the way, we end up with Jimmy and Cindy in a relationship. But you know what? Let's see how we get there. And what makes this season of Jimmy Neutron the most nuts, but also greatest season of all television. So today we're going to be looking into the Jimmy Neutron double-length feature, Attack of the Twonkies. So it starts with Mr. Willoughby. He wrote a song and is going to have the school choir sing it. Library! He tells the class and they're super excited. This guy's always doing the creative stuff, like the broadcast episode, then the play episode. I never realized how many times they try to bring arts into the show, and Jimmy is always like adjacent to it. And these are always so funny. So Cindy is in for the big solo and she really wants it. I like that she's like so focused on having a theater background. It has a lot of sides to her that aren't just scientific. Meanwhile, Sheen wants to be in the chorus, which is so random to me. He says he's got a great voice and then screams at a kid in the background. You owe me $2.36. Don't make me come over there. And then as Carl and Jimmy talk, he beats up a kid. What the heck? Carl talks to Jimmy about wanting to sniff animals, and the way he words it is actually really weird. I sniff them. But apparently there's something going on in space, and Jimmy wants to be there for it. It's rare, something's going on. So he goes to space. Meanwhile, Hugh is about to go to the grocery store and wants a ride from his son. I don't know if I ever trust my 5th grade son to drop me off at the grocery store. Anyway, he grabs on the rocket and is pretty much going along with Jimmy. Jimmy's like not worried that his dad is probably gonna die this way. He just keeps going and then eventually drops him off at the grocery store. He gets inspired by a dummy in the store, and I can already see where this B-plot is going. So then Jimmy gets to space and a scary giant monster is about to attack his ship. I assume this is like one of the Twonkies. And I like his little shovel invention. Like, how cool is that? It kind of looks like a lightsaber, but if it were a shovel. They manage to get to the rocket and off the planet safely. Then we find Carl with his dad looking to get a pet. Both of them are extremely allergic to everything, so I don't know what they expect to get. He can't even get a frozen fish because apparently the dad is allergic to ice, which how? How are you allergic to ice? That's water. That's what's in your body. So Carl's pretty disappointed. So then Cindy auditions and is already in the chorus, which is a funny joke. Like, apparently she doesn't have to audition, she just did it for fun. And Mr. Willoughby and Miss Vowell are unnecessarily cruel to Sheen. He tries to sing Home on the Range, and look at the way they bully him.
You see, Sheen, your voice, how shall I put this?
Your voice scares small children!
Miss Fowl, please! Look, Sheen, as chorus master, I know talent.
And that's what you have! No talent!
I love that he mentions he has an Ultra Lord support group here, like, it's so funny. And we've set up a lot so far. So Hugh ends up coming home with, instead of groceries, a dummy. And Judy recognizes this as a really irresponsible thing to do, because it is. Hugh makes him talk and he's really funny, and I am excited for where this is about to go.
Hey there, dollface! What do you say we ditch the dead wood and go make some trouble?
Although, poor Mrs. Neutron. So Libby tries to get people into Greystar. What is she, like their manager? Like, it's just this band she listens to and she's she's promoting. Like, I think they could promote themselves. And she's at the fountain that we haven't seen since the shorts that were before the Jimmy Neutron show. Like, Jimmy and Cindy had both of their dogs fighting here at this location, which is a fun throwback. So Jimmy returns to his lab, and Carl and Sheen are pretty depressed, and they talk about how they got there, and Jimmy's like, how did you get in? And they're like, oh, we just have a bag of your hair. And I guess that's just normal for them. Jimmy's like, what? But it's fair because Jimmy doesn't really care about what they went through and just bulldozes their stories and tells them what happened in space, which is rude. And then he finds a Twonkie, apparently one of the first animals that Carl isn't allergic to.
I sniff them.
Okay, so this little Twonkie's gonna solve their problems. I like that. Jimmy says to only keep it for 24 hours because then they have to head back. He tries to dismiss doing this at all by saying it's a violation of science protocol, which sounds smart, but I don't know if there's science protocol as a general thing. Then Sheen comes back, tries to sing again, and the teachers laugh at him again. He comes dressed with a mustache, and they mention Bulby, but he hasn't come yet, so this is weird that it's in season 3. Carl brings the Twonkies to class, and everybody wants to be near them because they're super cute, and they try to get closer to Carl, which has never happened. And then it starts to puke up other little babies like it. Aw. And Nick is like, I could use them to practice my hair products. Nick, that's animal testing. You can't do that. Everybody is a Twonkie and they act like parents, which is really fun to see. Like, Cindy's like, oh, we're gonna get you into a good kindergarten, which is like, even if they were their pets, like, you can't treat them like a 2-year-old. And Sheen is still upset about the choir. I never realized how into it he was. Carl sings to the Twonkie,
And stretching.
and it starts to mutate. It turns out singing triggers it. Oh no. Oh yeah, because the choir thing that's about to happen. Okay, this is about to be bad. Slowly, one by one, the Twonkies all turn crazy as everybody starts to sing. They complain to Jimmy, which it's not his fault. He actually warned all you guys about this and said you shouldn't have them. And Butch says, just as I was learning to love again, which is funny. So they have to shut down all music, with Libby saying, you can't stop the music. Sheen is still depressed, and turns out his singing doesn't affect his Twonkie because he's so bad at it. Oh my gosh, poor Sheen. I like the side of Sheen that's like insecure. Like, this is a lot of cool character dynamics that I never expected to have. Whenever I hear Sheen talk about his future, I think about Planet Sheen, which is almost like a traumatic event because I'm like, wow, this kid doesn't really have a future because he ends up in space for so long.
Except summer school. Trust me.
What? So Jimmy's like, okay, we have to shut down all the music in town, get these Twonkies out of here, because after 24 hours, they're gonna be stuck here for a year. Wow, that would suck. That's like me every birthday. The boy band Grey Star shows up looking for Libby, and they decide to just play to nothing, triggering the Twonkies. Oh my gosh, Jet Fusion is still in theaters. I like that it's on the marquee. And the Twonkies are really funny in the theater, lol. So the Twonkies are attacking the town, and Carl and Jimmy get a giant vacuum to suck them all up. They attack Grey Star, and Libby's like, sorry for attacking you. And they're like, it's okay, we play at colleges, which is really funny. So as Grey Star plays, they think it's all over and it's a little celebration event, but it turns out a Twonkie the size of the one earlier in the episode attacks Jimmy and everybody. Turns out it's not over. Oh, gosh. So Sheen comes back and turns out he didn't know any of this was going on and he's been singing all day, so there's no way the Twonkies get upset by singing. Sheen's so bad at singing, it's almost anti-singing.
Ultra Lord, fighting crime with his ultra sword.
And he named his Twonkie Liver Snap, which is so weird. So they use Sheen's singing as a weapon to fully take down the Twonkies. He refers to the dummy as Jimmy's brother. Like, did the dummy even matter in it? Oh, it ends up being needed for the rocket. Okay, cool. It's relevant. In the end, Grey Star even comes back and says, we beat him! And Carl's like, you didn't do anything, which is so funny. Then we finally get the final performance at the library, and Sheen gets his solo, although we can't hear it. And Cindy's solo is canceled. Wow, how is that a happy ending?
Bombastic side-eye.
Oh wait, speaking of happy endings, it's not, because at the end you see a little Twonkie get away, which is more than just a bad ending. Like, it's supposed to be there for years at a time. I know this special is unsubtly referencing the 1984 film Gremlins.
There just might be a gremlin in your house.
And its sequel, The Gremlins 2, New Batch. And a lot of the inspiration is clear here, but I like that it fits in the realm of Jimmy Neutron really well. If we did view this as a season 3 premiere, which I still consider it, I think it's really effective. Like, we get to see a new side of all the characters, we get a new opening intro, and we even get moments where we see the characters at completely different angles, which we didn't ask for, but it's so happily welcomed. I think that's why this show gets appraised for its characters. They are so dynamic, and you learn about them every time they speak, which is like a very theatrical trope. Like, they say on theater shows, every line is insight into a character, and this is definitely what they're doing here. To believe that the people who made Jimmy Neutron, like this little studio in Texas,
Hi, I'm Paul.
off.
Put so much effort into this and made it just as good as the other shows on Nickelodeon is astounding to me. Jimmy Neutron is still continuing to be one of my favorite Nicktoons, and I feel like I only appreciate it more as time goes on. But what did you guys think? Did you like this special, or did you think it wasn't as good as like Win, Lose, Kaboom or Jet Fusion? I would love to know down in the comments. What's your favorite Jimmy Neutron episode? So next we have Season 3, Episode 3, Lights, Camera, Action. The kids at Retroville Middle School tease Jimmy for having no creativity because he's kind of a science and math genius.
Remember his awful short story?
Call it fate, Ursula said, finishing her pastrami sandwich. No, Lance said. Call it binomial expansion.
Fair enough, Jimmy, you can't be good at everything. They have an example of how he lacks creativity in this funny montage.
And remember his painting?
And apparently the last one is so bad, the kids can't even say it.
And remember his opera?
Don't even!
That was horrible! Yeah, don't go there!
I don't know what that could possibly mean. I like that the whole premise is wrapped around a Hollywood screenplay contest that the kids want to enter, because obviously show business is always ironic when it's in a show. So Jimmy attempts to write a script to prove that he can be creative. Oh my gosh, can you imagine being a kindergartner? Apparently it's so good that a notable movie director comes in town to shoot it. We don't know who this guy is. His name is Quentin Smithy or something. I don't know how you get a name that's more film producer than that. And he kind of makes Jimmy like a spectacle and poses with him in front of the whole town and announces that the movie is going to be shot right then and there, with the unpaid townsfolk making up of the crew. Wow, this must be how real film is. This is how real film is gonna have to be if we want to save money and actually keep it going. So it's clear that the director Quentin is not gonna do the script how Jimmy intended.
Mr. Smithy, this scene is supposed to take place on a ship in the Atlantic Ocean.
And we just kind of get a glimpse of him taking Jimmy's movie to life. I like how it's kind of the parody of the egoism of a filmmaker. Like, it's so much more different than the ego of somebody like Jimmy Neutron who has science and math. And why are creative people sometimes more egotistical than the people with logistical knowledge? I think it's not fair.
I think this Smithy guy knows what he's doing.
Of course he does. You guys just don't know how true artists work.
Jimmy says, and it's clear that his whole thing is he has to be a genius at everything. It's the perfect flaw. It's worked for 2 seasons so far, and it's definitely a good motivation for this character to want his screenplay to be good. So he's just not going to admit that this is going terribly. Hugh, in the meantime, keeps trying to insist that he's an actor on the film to Quentin Smithy, and he keeps dismissing him as the donut boy. But Hugh literally does such a good job at turning around everything Quentin says and assuming it's an acting direction.
You go jump in a lake.
To practice for the big underwater scene? Gotcha!
He's like, oh, my character would be running on the side of the road. Oh, my character would be getting donuts. Like, it's just such a funny concept. I know they did this similar episode in SpongeBob where the characters were trying to make a movie, and probably on every other TV show imaginable, but Jimmy Neutron does this really well. Like, I definitely think this is one of the best ones. It has everything from actual movie stakes to a flawed main character and even a dirty twist. But we'll get to that. So they're on the rooftop shooting, and Jimmy's confused because apparently the scene is supposed to be shot on a snowy mountain. So like, why are they on the roof with these bungee cords? I would be terrified. The kids are all dressed in black with strings attached. And what is the budget for this movie? Like, why are the kids the ones in the main character roles? Like, Jimmy said the premise of the movie, and it doesn't really have to do with them. So after the scene fails and the kids are about to literally hit the ground, Jimmy manages to save them. Quentin pretends to be sympathetic in this really funny mumble of an apology.
Are you alright? I feel horrible, just terrible. How could that happen? What a shame. Too bad. So glad no one got hurt. Accidents will happen. Isn't movie making thrilling? Okay, moving on. Next scene.
Which seems very Hollywood, and he clearly doesn't care. Jimmy finds himself defending the director as much as he can, because obviously if this guy's not real, it would mean his script wasn't actually good, and his friends would be right, so obviously Jimmy needs to keep this going. Scene after scene, Jimmy's script is further from his intention, and they're put in a roller coaster this time. And apparently there's supposed to be a kiss between him and Cindy, but it's crazy how far this is going off the rails. Literally, they're on a roller coaster, and they nearly get killed. Doesn't even matter that they're supposed to be a kiss. I don't know how they casually put these kids in the movie. The kids end up getting suspicious of Smithy and actually ask Jimmy to look into it, but they can't find anything. which they actually realize is really suspicious, but Jimmy's gonna keep defending it. Then we later learn that Quentin Smithy, alone in his trailer, comes out as
Professor Finbar Calamitous.
it's clear his intention is to put Jimmy and his friends in danger, which is a theme for this season a lot. I just don't know why this can't be like another villain. Like, why does it have to be Calamitous mostly acting as other villains that seemingly are interesting at first? Like when they had that great egg heist and he was that Chinese lady, like I don't know why he has to be the one. And something super unexpected, they break out into a musical number. It's kind of like a parody of the show Chicago or some jazz show. I just can't believe how good Jimmy Neutron is at doing musical numbers. Like this is a crazy coincidence. Even Hugh partakes in a solo himself.
Donut boy. That's me. Yeah.
And they really get to parody a lot of movie tropes throughout just this 20-minute episode, and it's really impressive. I love that this is in the 3rd season. Like, they're giving it their all, and this show is just so brilliant at how it lays out all its plots. It kind of reminds me a little bit of the Play episode when they were putting on that production of, like, Macbeth, just because of the Jimmy and his friends trying to do something creative, and getting in danger is just so topical for them. Jimmy and Carl are gonna have to duel in the last scene, which is a lot similar to that Play episode with him and Bowlby. And I don't know what's going on with their outfits here. It seems like the director's just throwing random things in here like, you're a wizard, you're this, you're this. And Jimmy's like, it's supposed to take place in Snowy Mountain. So we don't know what Calamitus's real plan is, aside from just showing up at different scenes and trying to hurt the kids. I can't imagine how much extra work everybody in the town had to do to get these intricate film sets, but it seems like it's not worth it. I think Professor Calamitous could have put his efforts in something way more convoluted. Jimmy notices that the director doesn't finish anything, which is super funny because he's a film director, lol, and realizes that since he can't finish anything,
It's Professor Finbar Calamitous.
at the last second though, Smithy sends in a giant snake to finally get rid of Jimmy and his friends. But luckily, and surprisingly, Hugh comes in thinking he's a character that's supposed to defeat this snake. And that is how the plot gets solved, all in itself. Hugh is so delusional that he thinks he's playing a character defeating Professor Calamitous.
I bet this is the scene where Donut Boy saves the day.
And actually does and saves all the kids and takes all Jimmy's suggestions as acting notes, which is so funny. So Hugh saves the day and the kids agree that Jimmy is not creative. He apologizes and admits that his script wasn't good, and they end up doing the version of the movie that everybody else wanted to do and kind of bothered Jimmy to do the whole time, which is definitely fair. It should be more of a team effort. And the movie is so funny because they're in their normal clothes the whole time. Like, they got changed for all the scenes they were going to do in Jimmy's movie, but here I guess they're playing themselves in these crazy locations. I mean, not a single costume could be seen. Like, I don't even know. They had costumes in their musical scene, for God's sake. I guess the moral of the story is anybody can make a movie.
I command you all to dance! Dance, I say! Dance!
Next, we have episode 4, Fundemonium. Jimmy and Carl and Sheen are playing superheroes. Oh my gosh, it's not the N-Men episode again, is it? I mean, that was cool because they actually had superpowers. Here, it just looks like they're having a good time. They use super bouncy shoes, which is kind of cool. Jimmy's inventions really up the stakes when these guys are playing their games. I wish I had him as a friend. They land at Jimmy's house, and they learn that their house is being sold. Oh my gosh, already? Like, first of all, it takes a lot of work to sell a house. I don't know how they just suddenly have a sign up and then they know they're leaving soon. Jimmy approaches them about it, and Judy seems depressed.
That means our lives are ruined. I mean...
And unwilling to say anything except that they're moving. Like, we don't know why, we don't know how, we don't know if... I don't get it. Apparently they're moving to
Dairyville.
Didn't Fairly Odd Parents do an episode about them moving to a town where milk was hypnotizing them? It was kind of a cow-centric episode. I don't know what it is with Nickelodeon cartoons and all these cow-centric episodes. It's kind of a weird gimmick to me. Was that a 2000s thing? Did we all have cows? So Jimmy opens up the idea that he should just switch jobs and do something in the town. I don't know why Hugh would not have thought of that, or Judy, before they decided to sell their house, but whatever. And I do like this trope of what happens if the main character moves episode. Like, Jimmy Neutron is not a show that you would expect to do it, but I like that they have its own Jimmy Neutron twist on it. iCarly's done it, Hannah Montana's done it. It's just such a topical episode choice. It's clear that the stakes are really high because Jimmy would not want to leave behind his friends, or even his lab. Like, how would he recreate that anywhere else? So Jimmy suggests Hugh goes for a toy inventor job he finds in the paper. Aw, that's cute. Like, people read the paper. Jimmy tells him he has a great imagination, which invites a hilarious line from Hugh.
But I do occasionally talk to Bing Bing, a giant invisible panda.
See, you've got a great imagination.
Imagination?
I mean, Hugh's lines are just crazy funny. Look at all this.
Intense UV radiation has made me delusional. I'm a monkey. Don't tell the others, but you're my favorite. Hey, boys! Look at me! I'm Cocky the Rooster Man! Cock-a-doodle-doo! Cock-a-doodle-doo! Hey, Mother Hen. Want to have a peckin' party?
He is such a good character. Moments later, he makes a terrifying dummy with the head of a duck and a doll body. It looks like a horror movie, like worse than Annabelle. Jimmy knows it's terrible, so he takes the doll and invents it to be incredible, have a cool superpower like how he had shoes at the beginning of this episode. This way, he can assure that his dad will get hired. Oh, we get a quick cameo from the nanobots. They want their time of jail to be over soon, so they're trying to do favors for Jimmy as he goes in and out of his lab. I feel bad for these guys. Meanwhile, Hugh goes to the meeting with Baby Quacker, and the toy destroys the meeting room. It's crazy, and it seems like it didn't work until we get to the next scene. Hugh literally announces that he is the next new toy inventor. First off, how in the world, with what you just showed me, would Hugh be qualified to be the next toy inventor? I mean, I get it. It was cool, but like, he destroyed the office. That's not a red flag for you. Like, if you're hiring an employee, like, if he quits, I don't know if I would trust this guy in my workplace. Meanwhile, Carl and Sheen are trying to replace Jimmy pretty quickly. Like, he didn't even leave yet, guys. And they try to use Bolby instead, but he's the butt of the joke, and it's funny because he's just so different that he doesn't understand what any of the other kids are doing in their role play of these superheroes. But he's kind of funny. He takes on this persona of Kebab Boy or Kebab Man. I don't know. It's just really funny.
Unit of justice! Let Batman tremble at my powerful lamb kebab!
It's gonna be a long childhood.
Let's see that lamb kebab.
Leave it alone!
The nanobots consistently bother Jimmy to let him out, and he just keeps denying them. Are they gonna be in this episode more? I don't remember this. So apparently, in order to keep this job, Hugh is going to have to
Come up with a new toy design every day for the rest of my life.
Oh my god. What? That is like working somebody to the bone. So now Jimmy has to make a new invention every day for his father, or he can't stay in Retroville, which sucks because obviously he wants to stay with his friends, but it looks like he's gonna have to take on a full-time job. We get a fun montage of Hugh inventing a bunch of stupid stuff, and it's like, how in the world would Jimmy turn these two objects around to be a good toy? And it just keeps happening. Like, Jimmy is a genius. These montages just remind me that Jimmy is one of the coolest characters ever, because his genius actually helps him help other people. And oh my gosh, this song, listen to this. This could only be a copy of that song Hey Ya from the 2000s, and it's clear because they didn't change that much. Even the vocal line is like used as an instrument here. Like, come on. Suddenly Jimmy can't make one of the toys, and he's exhausted. He's been doing it every day now, apparently. Hugh makes this thing called the Malibu Death Machine, a tank with a Barbie doll head, and whew, I think people would buy this nowadays. I would. This is kind of epic. But Jimmy falls asleep, and Hugh accidentally takes the toy before Jimmy could finish it. In the meantime, he even takes the nanobots that were begging to be let out earlier and uses them as batteries for this thing. So in the meantime, these nanobots are staying inside the toy. Hugh presents in the meeting room again with his new toy, and the nanobots actually make this tank go huge to supersize, and the meeting room is destroyed, which actually, after the first time, you got a job getting at this company, so I don't know why this wouldn't get you at least a promotion. Like, they clearly respect somebody that destroys their habitat. But yeah, it's the nanobots taking over, using this giant tank to go out of the office and even destroy the town. They're shooting candy at everybody, and I don't know how this is a real threat. And it kind of reminds me of this episode Make Room for Daddy-O, like the other Jimmy and Hugh episode. We don't see a lot of Carl and Sheen except for the B plot, and I like it when it's Jimmy and his dad. Jimmy is such a straight man with his genius, and Hugh is such a dummy that it gives me that opposite roommates vibe. Jimmy wakes up and sees the news and is freaking out. He gets a brain blast and realizes that he could actually use the first invention, Baby Quackers, and the remote for that to stop the tank. And then we keep cutting to Bolby and Sheen and Carl as superheroes pretending to do whatever, and this is so unnecessary.
Some justice!
I have candy in the wrong places.
Oh wait, It's not. Jimmy asks for Carl and Sheen's help, and it's perfect because they miss Jimmy so much even though he didn't move yet. So with help, they actually managed to get the tank to pee on the street? I think it's urine, okay? Causing the entire thing to disrupt. And that's how this episode kind of ends. Like, I don't know, this was a really good one. I don't remember it super well, but I am so happy the last season does get another Hugh-centric episode. He is such a revitalizing character to this series, and I don't know what I would do without him. It's fun how the A and B plot tie in together so well, and Carl and Sheen even jumping in at the last second to help. Like, this episode has all of everything Jimmy Neutron should be. They're so good at making this series at this point. It just ends with Jimmy, Carl, and Sheen happy to be playing together once again. Apparently, because of all the damages done to the other cars, Hugh can go back to his old job. Aw, it's really sweet that we have a good ending. And I like so far that all these episodes are double length. Like, there's no 10-minute Jimmy Neutron episodes. Like, it gives us enough breathing room to see Jimmy's best and worst sides, as well as giving each of the side characters a little bit of time to revolve around it. This show is just so good, and I'm so happy to be going back through it, and it's so much easier to make the retrospectives with less episodes, trust me. So the next episode, Stranded, is an interesting one. I would say it is the most confirming any Jimmy Neutron episode is ever about Jimmy and Cindy's love story. I'm not sure if you guys remember, but when I was little, I used to be a little turned off to this episode because I felt like it was definitely not Jimmy Neutron, not what the show was supposed to focus on. But looking back, I'm like, this is such an incredible episode that they were so smart to weave into the series and give a little bit of closure to the people who looked at this as like a more serialized show. Like, if you paying attention to television, you probably like Easter eggs subtly hidden that actually rewards the person for watching and paying attention to the whole show. So it starts off with Jimmy and Cindy in one of their usual fights. Sheen breaks the fourth wall by saying like the adventure should start any minute.
Just a little longer, Carl. Our adventure should start any minute.
Jimmy and Cindy's fight goes to the hover car as they actually try to prove one another's argument, which I forget what it even is. Sheen asks if they're gonna admit that they're in love yet, and it's so funny to think that everybody knows but them, especially by how much they argue. It's like, you definitely would get tired of like your friends if they were like hiding their feelings for each other this long. And pretty quickly in the episode, Jimmy and Cindy fall out of the hover car. And since Sheen, Libby, and Carl don't really know how to work it, they're left stranded on this island. It's clear right from the get-go that they can only go so far with arguing all the time, and the fact that nobody else is around really makes it not valuable. Like, you guys are just focused on surviving at this point. Like, stop worried about fighting any more than you already are.
Look, Cindy, I'm not any happier about this than you are, but if we're gonna be stuck here together, we shouldn't squander our energy fighting. So what do you say? Truce?
Truce.
Good.
Each of them gets a chance to save one another from sudden danger, which actually confirms their care for one another, and it's really sweet. It's definitely like a metaphor for like giving and taking in relationships and how important it is to maintain that. And since they're not dating and they're so rude to each other, that could only mean that if they were to date, that it would have to be the opposite. I'm not sure if you guys agree with me, but usually your relationships change for the better if you decided to get closer with somebody, as opposed to breaking up with somebody or somebody that you just kind of stay on a level playing field with. Whatever, that makes sense to me. It doesn't have to make sense to you guys. So meanwhile, Carl, Sheen, and Libby are still trying to find Cindy and Jimmy, but they don't even really know how to work the hover car. In fact, they even crash it into the ocean themselves, so everybody is stranded in this one. So it's funny to think that Jimmy and Cindy actually start embracing this new lifestyle. Like, they appreciate the finer things and the small things in life a lot more when they're forced to live here. Assuming that they're never going to get home ever again, they choose happiness, which is kind of nice. Crazy to think that these characters have to go through this much in order to have a good time. Like, their lives have to be so bad that they're stranded and isolated from everybody they know and care about to really be happy. And it's interesting because that is kind of how most of us would be as humans, since we like interacting with each other. Having it taken away just makes you appreciate what you do have more. Jimmy and Cindy, I swear, develop a relationship. Like, they might as well be dating at this point because they just take care of each other. They make an entire civilization just out of the two of them. And it's sweet watching Jimmy be protective and actually care about what Cindy thinks, and Cindy actually mushing over Jimmy. Like, it seems like it really adds value to their life to care for each other in that way, which makes it so sad when Carl, Sheen, and Libby actually show up to save them. Jimmy was about to give her this really rare pearl, which is so sweet, Jimmy. Jimmy is like slowly opening up to love in his life, despite being in like 5th grade. They're finally able to get back in the hover car, get it working, and then head out. Obviously, Cindy's a little disappointed because they were having such a good time, and Libby is suspicious that they did form a relationship already, but they're too ashamed to really come out to anybody about it.
All right, girls, spill. What's up between you and Jimmy?
Up! Nothing's up! What makes you think something's up? Oh, well that's not... Oh, I see, you thought... It's a funny story, really.
We lead the episode on like one last wink and acknowledgement that Jimmy had a good time and really liked spending it with her. But all is back to normal when they end at the candy bar and Jimmy and Cindy are fighting once again. But this time it doesn't end with them fighting, it ends with them agreeing to do something together. And they end up becoming friends pretty much. A very sweet episode, definitely makes it worth watching, especially if you care about Jimmy and Cindy. I feel like it does really good to have an episode this direct in the 3rd season, especially if it's getting ready to start slowing down. I could see what people say when they like regard this season as something that's like a really good deep part of animation, because unlike SpongeBob or Fairly OddParents, like we don't delve this deep into characters. Their wants and desires don't really come priority to the episodic structure. It's nice to see when a story is worth doing that. So this is essentially Jimmy Neutron's Young Sheldon episode, Jimmy Goes to College, something you would expect to have happened in the 1st season, but just never occurred yet. So Jimmy's smarts are taken to an entirely new level. We start in the class and everybody's tired of Jimmy's genius. He critiques Miss Fowle's scheduling, which is kind of bold, Jimmy. A professor shows up and says he wants to recruit Jimmy for college, and of course, Jimmy is all in on that. At first, his parents aren't really into the idea, but then they eventually agree. Jimmy jetpacks into class late, which, Jimmy, you cannot be late to college. And turns out, he's not special. Everybody has a jetpack, which is nuts because this was the 2000s. And even today, people don't have jetpacks. I feel like the proper equivalent would probably be a hoverboard. You know those hoverboards people take from city to city? Jimmy's pretty much insecure because everybody's smart, and now he has to rely on his social awareness, which is interesting because Jimmy's never been put in a position where there was a bunch of people like him. And anybody in that position could feel really embarrassed, like going to college for an art degree. I feel like everybody's there for the same thing, and it's hard to wrap your head around not being special. Especially for Jimmy's sake, like he's been a genius. But do you think everybody else in this class is like willing to go to space or save the world? Because I know Jimmy's smart just like the rest of them, but Jimmy does have a lot more to give than they do. Everybody's impressed by Jimmy, and he makes an enemy because this nerd gets jealous. I think his name is Seymour? So he sabotages Jimmy's jetpack, making him like really embarrassed in front of everybody. Oh, I love a new enemy.
Clueless little dweeb. I'll have him running back to mommy inside a week.
Meanwhile, Hugh and Judy miss Jimmy a lot more, and it's like exactly like college life would actually be. Like the parents already missing them. And I don't know why Goddard didn't go with him, because Goddard's still at home. Hugh uses the extra time to start a flea circus, which is ridiculous.
I think I'll call you Jimbo. You can be the Jimster. Oh, and you are definitely Jim Jamboree.
So then Jimmy's late to class again because of his jetpack, and it's clear he's not fitting in. Probably partially because of the sabotage from Seymour.
Oh, just find a lab partner, Mr. Neutron.
Jimmy partners with Seymour, and Seymour sabotages the science fluid. And then Dean Cain comes in, and apparently he's the only teacher. He's literally teaching every class at this point. And then we go back to Hugh having a funeral for the old fleas, and Carl and Sheen are, like, trying to save Jimmy from college. They seem to have no purpose outside of Jimmy. Like, where are their hobbies? Every time Jimmy can't be there for them, they seem to not know what to do with their lives.
We'll get him.
Why? Merciful heavens, why?
So Judy and Hugh pretend like everything is going well when Jimmy gives them a call from college. Jimmy pretends he's doing well too, keeping them all in the same situation, even though neither of them are having a good time. The nerd Seymour shows up to where Jimmy lives, which is this closet, which is so sad, and I'm scared what he's gonna do. He ends up challenging Jimmy to listen to what he says, because he will guide him through college. And they bring him to like this cult. Is this like a parody of like a frat house? It definitely is. They're insisting he does everything that's a part of the quote-unquote ritual, and he's resistant but gives in. Exactly how college works. They convince him to streak through the college lab, which I don't know why Jimmy, being so logical, would think this is necessary, but I guess since he doesn't have the social awareness, it makes him a lot more of an outlier. It's really funny because, of course, the dean has an important lady visit, and Jimmy runs in naked.
I'm streaking! I'm streaking! Naked boy! Naked boy! Neutron!
Oh my gosh. He ends up getting actually expelled. And we have another flea funeral with Hugh. This bit actually is pretty funny because it's like, of course he would do that with his free time. It's not like he has a job. Jimmy eventually learns that Seymour did sabotage him. He asks Carl and Sheen to come help, which I bet they're ecstatic. So Carl, Jimmy, and Sheen turn invisible, sneak into the room, and try to prove that he was sabotaged. He brings in dangerous molecules that he actually introduced at the beginning of the episode. And when they come in for a presentation that essentially is Seymour copying Jimmy, he takes his ideas about the molecules. The molecules end up being unpredictable and destroy the entire classroom until Jimmy is able to use glue attached to a piece of wood and catch the molecules, saving the day, which I don't know how that's gonna work. Jimmy gets a check for $1,000? What? And he decides he should go back to school because he's not really ready for college, which is fair. It's like cool to be good enough to go to college. But I feel like the whole point of the school system is to kind of weave your way into the social circles, like get to know the people around you and learn how to work in a society. And we forget the parts that really matter that are not worth skipping, and it's that like fitting into your group, like doing projects, like that's what really makes it work. College is just an expansion of that, and if you didn't do the first couple years, it's nuts. Young Sheldon is similar in that they have a comically young kid going to college, and Sheldon sees a lot of things that kids are not supposed to see, but the biggest issue is that he's missing out on his social development because not going through an actual high school or middle school just puts you at a disadvantage to the rest of the world. It's so funny. I feel like Jimmy walked so young Sheldon can run because this is just such an impressive episode, and I feel like this is inevitably what young Sheldon entirely is. So then we have N-Men. This is one of the really fun episodes. I always liked watching this when I was little because it's those shows that have the main characters get superpowers in some supernatural way, and seeing their personalities dialed to 100 because of the fact that they have the ability to use powers now. I don't know, it's just a cool concept. We start with Jimmy and Cindy fighting on one of the ships, and it just seems like they're fighting all the time now. Like, they're clearly getting tired of putting their ego aside and actually caring about one another. They have to put up this whole facade. There's like a slow motion sequence as the ship enters this like really weird storm of rays, and everybody's doing something like really specific before they hit this ray. Like Jimmy and Cindy are arm wrestling, Libby is using invisible cream for her zits, Carl's burping, and Sheen is just looking like a weirdo. They land into Earth in a crashing manner, pretty much assuming that this storm knocked them into the galaxy. They're surprised to find that Jimmy's changed colors completely, like his hair is a new weird shade of green and his skin is a lot more tan than we're used to, and something is clearly up.
And you just turned orange? How lame is that?
It's not lame. Maybe my cells store massive amounts of vitamin C or something.
He does have a pleasing fruity aroma.
Immediately we see that they're gifted with superpowers.
So I'm super strong. Well, that doesn't mean I'm gonna hold this thing all day.
Sheen runs to Japan and back in 1 second.
We've all been endowed with incredible power, and I say we use that power to attack Tokyo! Guys, come on, pick up the pace!
And it's very clear that they all have an ability.
Open your eyes, girlfriend. I'm right in front of you.
Hey, I was invisible. Cool.
I don't feel so good.
You know, Milwaukee has very clean restrooms.
I
They decide to use these powers to their advantage and actually fight crime together as the N-Men, which is like this Avengers type group where they're all going to work together to keep good. We see that the N-Men are just doing things that barely help civilians. Like, they're not fighting crime, they're just like accusing Sam of throwing out trash at the candy bar. They're essentially a nuisance to society, making things worse like car pileups and causing like all this destruction to the town.
Go, Kitty! Kitty, go!
Glad you're getting the hang of it.
So obviously the government gets involved, and we see the army guy that is usually involved in government-related things in the Jimmy Neutron universe taking away all the kids because of their superpowers. It's clear that the amount of power they have is not welcome, so they put him in a tube, and since Jimmy doesn't have any ability like the rest of the people, like everybody can run or burp or turn invisible, but Jimmy is only able to be Tanner. Like, for some reason, they don't even think it's necessary to kidnap him either.
That's a good one. You better head back to the pumpkin patch, little fella. All right, men, move them out.
They're locked away at the secret facility by the government, and Jimmy is essentially getting angry that he can never fit in with them as superheroes. He gets so angry, he inevitably turns into the Hulk, and it turns out that's what Jimmy's superpower was, is that he can turn into the Hulk when he gets mad. He shows up and threatens the town once again, proving that these superpowers are just no good for them. Like, I wouldn't trust 5th graders with superpowers either. Like, what are they gonna do with them? Carl's outfit looks kind of cool, though. I like that it's kind of like a little disco vibe to it. The government doesn't worry about the super kids anymore because of Jimmy's rampages, and so they all try to take down Jimmy. But luckily his friends show up to try to support him and not let the government take him. But in doing so, they need to defeat him themselves. And it's really scary to see Jimmy like this, like have no empathy or morals in this moment because he's just angry. And seeing the kids get weaker and literally start to faint is almost kind of depressing. Jimmy snaps out of his Hulk-like form when he notices them suffering so bad, especially Cindy, which is a nice reference to their relationship once again in this season. Filled with guilt, he's able to lose his anger and turn back into his normal Jimmy self, and happy to know that he did have a superpower all along. They apologize to the entire community because they literally wrecked Retroville, these poor kids. There's even a sign that says save our mutated children. So like they're worried that like these kids are just broken now. Jimmy's able to announce that the powers will go away inevitably and everybody's happy. The end. So this next one is by far one of the coolest episodes of television I've probably ever seen. So Jimmy Neutron did basic story tropes of characters meeting their future selves. But check out how well they executed this. We start with a really funny side plot of Jimmy teaching flowers to beat each other up, which I don't know what that's about. And everybody's getting ready to go to Libby's birthday party. They've got presents, and this is the most generic wrapping I've ever seen in my life. It's almost insulting if somebody got that for me. Jimmy shows Carl and Sheen his new invention, and Sheen says somebody already invented the arch. LOL, Sheen. Got him. So it turns out this device actually is a gateway to the future. At first, they could just look inside of it. They see that Sheen's a male model, which is kind of random. Carl wins a competition for llamas, and Jimmy wins the Nobel Prize. And apparently, Jimmy has the ability to allow them to walk into it, which is insanely cool. Apparently the perfume is what made the flowers fight, and it makes somebody mad with power, Jimmy explains. Jimmy, Carl, and Sheen show up early to the party to drop off their presents when they go back in time. 15 years into the future. They get to the future and it is not anything like they expected. The glimpse they got made it seem like they're in this big paradise, but it turns out that it's really dark and dingy and filled with cops. But not just normal cops, AI cops. No, I'm just kidding. Robot cops. But seriously, AI. The robot tells Carl, Sheen, and Jimmy that apparently they already broken some laws. They find out that the leader of this dystopian society is actually Libby. What? Spoiler alert. I love how they just jumped in from the past and the only thing they're getting in trouble for is not listening to the scheduled programming. As they're about to get in trouble, Jimmy escapes on Goddard with Carl and Sheen. Jimmy realizes that this is all because of the gift that Libby is mad with power, because that perfume from earlier.
He yelled at me.
And what could possibly have happened to change the outcome of the future we saw earlier? What did we do before we left?
Well, I woke up with a hollow feeling, which went away after I ate plenty of bacon.
Closer to our departure, Carl. I'll play back this morning's lab footage.
Ow! Ow! Flower cut! I cut it out! Ow!
If you'd have been there, it wouldn't seem quite so unmanly.
Oh no! Carl, you grabbed the megalomanium!
I was under fire! It was chaos!
Yeah, Mega Lahuna what now?
The stuff that made the flower power crazy!
The thing that got the flowers to fight is making Libby evil, and is making Libby a dictator, forcing everybody to listen to Greystar, the band that has the character designs reused in a bunch of episodes. So they escape to Jimmy's lab, finding future Jimmy. And you know what? Past Jimmy is not happy about it. He finds out this guy's priorities are all messed up, and he's even married to Cindy, which bothers him more than anything, which is a good sign of denial because we know Jimmy has a crush on Cindy. We learn the future wasn't exactly what he expected. Apparently Sheen is just taking care of Carl, and Carl is running from the law. And I guess everybody lives together in this world? Of course, if I was Jimmy, I would be super depressed. Like, this glimpse into the future is really scary. And a lot of shows have done this trope, and I feel like they've not done it as emotionally taxing as Jimmy has done. The robot is like the biggest enemy, and he is out to get Carl. But Jimmy has the idea of getting him off the archway and convincing future Jimmy to help them escape. It's so funny hearing Jimmy give advice to his future self. He's like so condescending. He's like, maybe you could fix your life. Oh, Jimmy. So as they finally get the portal to work to go back in time, the cop shows up with future Jimmy, Carl, and Sheen attacking him. So they jump back into the portal to go back in time. But bad news, the robot gets in too. So Carl, Sheen, and Jimmy run to Libby's house and try to destroy the present to stop this terrible future from happening. It's so funny because they're constantly like trashing the party, and Libby keeps trying to stop them, which is fair, but she doesn't understand the weight of what they're doing, so she's essentially their biggest antagonist. Greystar ends up playing at Libby's birthday, which is really funny because the robot falls for their trance because in his future he's used to being forced to listen to Greystar. And of course Libby would enforce this, like being into music as much as she is. I love that concept. Jimmy, Carl, and Sheen end up destroying all the presents to stop this future from happening, only to learn that Cindy put Jimmy's gift in another room. Real disrespectful, Cindy. As the robot's about to get Jimmy, he tosses the present at him and it vaporizes it, causing him to disappear, but Libby to be extremely furious. She knows that these guys go on adventures. I don't know why she can't just give him the benefit of the doubt here. They end literally trying to make it up to Libby, and that's kind of how it ends. This episode surprised me with how much I liked it, and having not remembered it. It's season 3, episode 9, I guess. My Big Fat Spy Wedding. So we start with a hidden figure, like a ninja that we don't really know who it is, but it looks like the outline of Beautiful Gorgeous. It goes to sneak in on Jet Fusion, who is asleep, and we kind of cut away from that. Jimmy has his robo-walker out, and he's trying to teach it how to give him dance moves, which is kind of random. It reminds me a lot of the Pants Machine from season 1. So Jimmy's interrupted and abruptly taken to the secret spy headquarters.
What the heck just happened?
I guess Jimmy mailed himself to downtown.
With the guys that he saw in the Jet Fusion special, which is a cool callback. They tell him that they have an assignment for him, but accidentally show a picture of him at the beach, which is hilarious.
Okay, which one of you clowns put that in?
I have no idea. Wasn't me. Not a clue.
And they talk about how Beautiful Gorgeous, that spy that worked with Professor Calamitous and is his daughter, had just escaped from jail, a 45-year sentence, and got out in 2 weeks for good behavior. Yeah, I don't trust this justice system. Jimmy asks his friends to come along on a secret spy mission, of course, because he can't do it without Carl and Sheen.
We're spiders, we like friends. Jimmy's dead, eats pies.
Carl, this is a top secret spy mission, not a musical.
Well, can we make it a spy musical?
No.
And as they're about to spy on Beautiful Gorgeous, they notice that she is with Jet Fusion. She is the one from the beginning of the episode that is planning on attacking him. They see him together and they're like, what's going on? And Jet reveals they're actually getting married. Oh my gosh, see, this is a cool plot twist. Turns out that she went to apologize to him after 2 weeks in jail, which, yeah, people change that quickly. And apparently they fell in love and are ready to get hitched. And I'm not making that word up, like, Jet Fusion uses the word get hitched in this.
You gotta wear a tuxedo when you get hitched.
It's so funny, the Twonkies keep showing up in the other episodes in really small doses to show that they're not gone yet, which is so random because we never address it again. And they spy on Beautiful Gorgeous and Jet, thinking that she's pretty much up to no good. After numerous attempts to save him from moments that don't actually need saving, Jet kind of gets annoyed at these kids for accusing his wife of trying to hurt him all the time. They spy on them in the candy bar with all these fake beards and mustaches, which is kind of hilarious. And everything just seems genuine, like it seems like Beautiful Gorgeous is committed to this marriage.
Unless there's a bomb in the cake!
The only thing dangerous in this cake is the 20,000 calories.
Unlikely story.
Despite Jimmy embarrassing himself multiple times trying to call on her. He tries to believe her for a moment, but he never stops being skeptical because Jimmy has this firm belief that people don't change, which comes in handy a lot right now. And we get to see that Beautiful Gorgeous actually hypnotizes Jet, and apparently the next person to ask him where the ring is going to get beaten up. Which is funny because Jet Fusion asks Jimmy to be his best man at this wedding, which is surprising to me. I don't know how Jet Fusion has so little people in his life that he needs this 5th grade kid to be his man of honor. I mean, I don't know, it's just weird to me. So later we see Jet talking to the boys and getting ready for the marriage, pretty much. And he goes ballistic for a moment, beating up Sheen. Because Sheen said the magic words, "I have the ring." Jimmy sneaks off because he notices this awkward behavior and confronts Beautiful Gorgeous. And this is a really cool scene. I love that he comes in through her window, faces her one-on-one where she admits that she is behind all of this. And Jimmy just seems so heroic here, like especially with the hypno beam in his hands. Like, he's such a good fighter. She takes this opportunity by trapping him in a cage and making his memories completely lost. So Jimmy can't remember that Beautiful Gorgeous is evil. She releases him from the cage, and the only thing he remembers is that he's a part of a wedding. Carl and Sheen, though, are able to pick up on the fact Beautiful Gorgeous is evil now, and they're onto her, so they keep following her around. But she doesn't really see them as a threat. They get to the wedding day, and Libby's the one on the piano, and Jimmy Neutron looks so good that Cindy literally has heart eyes.
Hunk muffin. Oh, hi! James?
Hey, Cindy!
Beautiful Gorgeous walks down the aisle with Professor Calamitous, which is so funny, and all seems like it's gonna go well. But unfortunately, Beautiful Gorgeous trapped the only people that know she's up to no good, Carl and Sheen. They're able to work with this monkey who lets them out of the cage, and their goal is to get back to the wedding and tell them that Beautiful Gorgeous is trying to get Jet Fusion to attack Jimmy at the cue of the words, "I have the ring." So many comically distracting things get in the way, like a marching band, the doors are closed, and finally when they get to the wedding, they call out to everybody that he's hypnotized. And everybody believes it pretty quickly because when Sheen says, "I have the ring," Jet Fusion literally tries to attack him.
I knew he'd get cold feet.
This triggers something in Jimmy to remember what's going on and getting everybody to say, "I have the ring."
I have the ring.
I have the ring! I have the ring! I have the ring!
No!
Yes, I have the ring!
Stop it!
I have the ring right here! Everybody! I have the ring! That's not a shame!
Quiet!
I have the ring right here!
And therefore, Jet Fusion can't destroy everybody. So we finally learn that this was all just a ploy on Beautiful Gorgeous's behalf, and that she never actually loved Jet, but Jet still loves her, which is actually kind of depressing. I love it that we get this movie star-like guy who's also a secret spy in on this whole bit. Like, it's fun to add Jimmy to the world of this kind of action, and I don't know, it adds a lot of character to it. It kind of reminds me of the Crimson Chin from Timmy Turner, where like he does kind of have this getaway where he can be a superhero, but in this Jimmy, it actually affects his life and what's going on around him, as well as the people, which I kind of like. And did you know that Christian Slater is playing Jet Fusion? Like, that's so nuts to me. They have a really funny ending title sequence.
I think we all learned something very important today.
Once a crook, always a crook?
Clothes make the man?
The Atomic Monkey Special Forces Squad rules?
No, we learned that we can all sing pretty darn well, except she.
Aw, man.
Hit us again, Libby.
1, 2, 3, 4. We all can sing. Yes, we all can sing. We all can sing instead of she.
What? I can sing?
We all can sing.
I can sing?
Yes, we all can sing.
I do it all the time in the shower.
We all can sing instead of she.
I'm not good at singing.
With Tim Curry as Professor Calamitous, and it just seems like it's just this big drama, but I don't know, all around one of the funnest episodes I've ever had to watch of Jimmy Neutron. I'm sure you guys remember this one. This one is like crazy special. Who's Your Mommy is a really disturbing episode. I saw Aggressively Average did this recently, and he's one of my friends in real life, so I thought it was necessary to actually look into. This is the one that's infamously about Carl being pregnant, and it's so disturbing, to say the least, but I never realized how funny it was. So Jimmy, Carl, and Sheen are headed to another planet looking for something that Sheen left behind. Like when you go back to a classroom that you just finished class in and you're like, oh, I left my books behind. That's kind of what's going on here.
Ha! There you are. From now on, you're going into the bathroom with me. I don't care how embarrassed you are.
They're going through this creepy cage, and a disgusting-looking tarantula captures Carl's fate.
What? Do I have something on my lip?
Don't worry, Carl. Everything's gonna be fine.
Fine? Are you kidding? It's the most horrible thing I've ever seen.
Shane!
Well, look, it's hideous. It's like something out of a freak show.
Shane!
Jimmy and Sheen can't even get it off right away, so they take it back to his lab. They find out that this is just some really weird space monster, and they're able to take it off of his face pretty quickly. But next thing you know, Carl starts having cravings for weird food and really quick mood swings, like yelling at Jimmy and Sheen and then just like casually laughing at them. Like it's so scary. When they go back to the lab, they see that Carl is pregnant in the butt. Like it's like his butt has a child in it, and they keep addressing it like a child, and it's really disturbing because I cannot imagine what this thing is gonna look like. And seeing Carl go through all these symptoms are super funny. Even his family, the Weezers, are super supportive of him being pregnant, and they're like getting ready for his little baby to come out. It enlarges Carl even more in his butt, and it's really, it's so gross to be animated. I can't believe that like 20 people oversaw this and were like, yeah, we're just doing this episode about this 5th grader that gets pregnant.
It happens all the time.
They have a baby shower for Carl, which is really cute, and I didn't realize Carl was this close to any of the girls, but it is sweet to see them all working together. And this one random ensemble character that is like never in the episodes is just there too. I don't even think the girls know their name.
Should have been implanted with an alien growth long ago.
Okay, game time. First, we're gonna play Diaper Baby Around His Tail.
We don't know if your baby will even have a tail, but it can't hurt to practice.
In the meantime, it starts to affect the power lines in all of Retroville. Like, he was trying to get out of paying his electricity bill, and then everything goes dark, making him, like, forget that.
Ooh, I didn't know you were so strapped for cash. Will you take a check?
Which is so funny. Which means that Carl is about to give birth, and the alien's real mother is floating into town, and it looks like this giant jellyfish that floats through the sky. And I've never seen a more accurate representation of what I imagined an alien to look like. It's really disturbing. I don't know if you guys know, but I'm pretty scared of space and the unknown, and it really freaks me out to think that a giant extraterrestrial, like, squid could come destroy our power lines. Like, that's getting too realistic for me. Carl inevitably ends up sacrificing his child to the giant alien thing, saying that he knows what she wants and gives birth to this jellyfish thing. It zaps him one last time, which is a really funny bit that doesn't end here.
Carl, that hug contained 10,000 volts of pure energy. Wasn't it painful?
Saying goodbye to your kids is always painful, Jimmy.
And it goes back to its mother, which is really sweet. And in the last scene, we get Carl, Shane, and Jimmy visiting the planet once again to celebrate his birthday. Oh, so Carl's still in his life. It's so funny. And then each of them try to hug Carl's kid, but he keeps zapping everybody. And it's weird to think how many relationships the Jimmy Neutron characters have formed with alien-like species or just things from outer space. Like, Jimmy had Robot, but now it's living out on its own. Carl has this new jellyfish guy, and of course Planet Sheen has Planet Sheen. I mean, I don't even need to get into that one. It's just funny, Jimmy Neutron's universe. It's very interesting. Combined with this episode is Clash of the Cousins, and it's actually a Jimmy Neutron's family reunion episode. It's kind of funny because it's like everybody looks like Hugh, so it's clearly Hugh's side of the family, and I swear they did not change the model at all. Like, look at this grandmother, she just looks like Hugh with a wig on. They're going through all the presents, and they kind of reference the fact that they're waiting for this lady to die to inherit her wealth, and talk about the will a lot, which is a lot that happens in Drake and Josh when they're doing that wedding trip. It's just such a funny trope that everybody's waiting on somebody in their family to die to inherit their money. I don't know, that's just kind of dark to me. We see all the relatives, and they're kind of weird, like one sucks on his foot, one is really bossy, and the other one has a baby. Baby Eddie. And this is like a really cute child that doesn't really do much but shake a rattle. Jimmy's family is very resentful of the fact that he has to do all these inventions and kind of see him as this little kid who ruins everything, especially when Jimmy knocks over Aunt Amanda and it turns out that somebody was trying to get a bomb and hurt them. Jimmy's parents get really mad at him for involving themselves somehow, and they punish him by going into the house. Carl and Sheen, for some reason, are here with him as his family, which I don't really get, but they're not in the way, so what does it matter? Jimmy realizes that one of his cousins has to be sabotaging the rest of his family. Carl and Sheen investigate, trying to get to know them, and they're such neurotic people. Like, they don't even know how to talk to these kids. They should be in insane asylums.
I got my hand caught in the pickle jar.
Ping pong it is!
It's funny to think of each of them as a genius master manipulator before one of them could pick up on the fact that it is somebody else.
Don't sneak up on me! I have senseless panic attack syndrome! I'm allergic to wheat. Oh, really? Go away!
Like, Jimmy's family is just so confusing. None of them essentially look like they could be the one to cause the destruction, until we realize they didn't think about the baby Eddie. So Eddie starts talking like this big mobster with a rattle, and he's like this evil genius.
Man, did I have you barking up the wrong tree? You know, maybe you ain't as bright as everybody thinks.
How could I be so naive?
It's so weird to think that this came after the Jimmy Neutron season finale, like the one where the League of Villains is teaming up against them. Yeah, baby Eddie is a vital part of that, and it happens before this episode technically, so it doesn't even make any sense why he's a part of the revenge group. But we know that episode numbers and production codes are different, so we're just gonna move on. Jimmy tries to warn his family, but he can't in time until the baby starts attacking Jimmy. Then the family realizes that he's up to no good, and Jimmy was telling the truth this whole time, so they can't hate him as much as they have been.
That baby's a bad seed. It's Jimmy who's the good nephew.
Baby Eddie is so funny because he reminds me of Boss Baby a lot, but he's like a lot more aggressive, and I don't know, it's just such a funny bit to have him be such a stern guy, but in a baby's body. And it's interesting that he acknowledges that he is Jimmy's cousin. Like, of course he's related to a genius, of course it's normal to have a genius, and I feel like if the show went on for a 4th season and continued this run, we might see more of Baby Eddie, and I would love to see how he reacts to the family. Maybe Jimmy and him facing off a lot more. He seems like a really worthy opponent in the same way that Rich Kid was. Like, it's a version of Jimmy that doesn't have any morals. Of course he would go up against him. And I just want to see that, okay? Give me a break. Next episode is called Crouching Jimmy, Hidden Sheen. And this one's kind of interesting because it's kind of like a karate episode, as if SpongeBob hasn't done that before. So we start by seeing a really awesome action sequence with a really cool villain, one that's kind of unique to this show. I wish this guy was in the season finale. He's super impressive, is even able to fly, and essentially this whole bit is to emphasize that there is a chosen one made to take on this guy. That happens to be, you guessed it, the guy who puts his foot behind his head, Sheen. And it starts to make a little bit of sense. These are definitely the same monks, or I'm not sure what to call this race. I think the shrouded people, the cult. I don't want to be offensive. The shrouded few. Meanwhile, there is a school dance going on, and Libby is going to be performing with Nick.
What?
Sheen!
What do you mean, you and Nick? You're my girlfriend!
Sheen, chill out.
Ooh. Sheen says that she's his girlfriend, so she can't do that, which is so funny because they aren't apparently dating. I could have sworn they were, but whatever.
Fickletooth, thy name is Libby!
Sheen's immediately jealous, but Jimmy's like, you don't want to be doing that anyway, discouraging Cindy from asking him to do it. Aw, these guys just keep missing each other, Jimmy and Cindy. It's not enough that they all have all the same interests, but they have to reject each other all the time. It must be exhausting. Sheen lies that he's a good dancer and begs Jimmy to help him with that. So it works. Jimmy makes a machine that allows Sheen to dance really well. It's a really funny sequence. Even Carl gets swayed away by him.
Well, Sheen, wow, oh boy.
Check me out. I'm a hip-hop tangler fool.
Sheen, be careful!
And just as we're about to see him enter the dance competition, a ninja approaches from a helicopter and attempts to kidnap Sheen. They don't really know what's going on, so they continue to get ready for the school dance. Jimmy is concerned for Sheen's safety, so he goes to try to protect him. But Miss Fowl is like, you're not in the competition, so you can't be here. So Jimmy takes the opportunity to be Cindy's dance partner.
There you are, Neutron. Look, I know it's late notice, and I know you think the dance show is stupid.
You need a dance partner for tonight? I'm your man.
You are?
Fulfilling her wish, and then also getting to spy on Sheen. Obviously, it doesn't go as planned because Jimmy's not really there to dance, and Cindy gets really mad. Another miss on these two. Bulby has this really funny routine with his cousin, and they look exactly alike.
Slap, slap, slap. Clap, clap, clap. Slap, slap, slap. Clap, clap, clap.
I bet they took the character model and literally just duplicated it. So as they dance, ninjas actually show up to take Sheen once again. Jimmy activates this neutralizer that makes them pass out on stage. That's when they get the message that Libby was taken by this martial arts guy. And if they ever want to see her, my favorite villain so far, why couldn't he be in the League of Villains episode?
Now I must speak to myself again. When I am chosen one, I will command respect, not like now, which is the opposite situation where I command none. Okay, Don't try to escape!
Jimmy and friends try to avoid the fight and just rescue Libby, but they get attacked by ninjas once again. So Sheen has no choice but to actually prepare to fight this guy. Since he doesn't have any skills, he goes to seek out this trainer. He has a funny doorbell. His name is Master Hong, and he teaches Sheen to be a good fighter, followed by another montage with the same music from earlier, but now Sheen is learning how to train in martial arts. Jimmy attempts to help him with his invention, but it doesn't work. Sheen ends up getting severely beaten up, and there's almost no chance until Jimmy realizes he can insert the dance chip. So he dances his way through defeating this guy. With the help of the pendant that Libby found in this guy's room, they finally take down the ninja boy. Sheen becomes the ultimate fighter and exactly what everybody expected him to be, which is so crazy to me. Cindy comes in to save the day too, and we end with Sheen putting his leg behind his head one last time. Interesting episode. I like the homage to old Chinese karate movies, and having Sheen be at the forefront of it is just hilarious. I did not remember this episode going into it, but I'm happy about it because everything was a surprise and really fun to rewatch.